not formulated the way it is now. I think I have written 5-6 versions of the script. The first version was a very underworld kind of a setup. Then the Makbul came, Macbeth, and I said, shit, this is gone. So, our Makbul was there, and I also thought of the same thing, but since it was already made, I had kept it aside, and it was brilliantly done by Irfan Tabu. So I kept it aside, but then it was still not formulating the way I had wanted. I was not confident enough to make this film, take this film into theatre. But as I said, 2014 election started stirring a lot of thought process, and resulting into the script the way it is today. Of course, it has had certain minor changes during the making also because of interaction with the Magoira community here. Magoira, the fishing community in Udupi, Malpe. It was shot just, I think, 6-7 kilometers from here. Yeah, that entire area is completely changed now. So Padukere is the place where we shot there. Padukere seaside is completely changed now. I visited, I think, a year ago. I couldn't recognize the location. It's so drastically changed. But we shot it in this vicinity, and during the research, during the pre-production for the film, a lot of things changed. So all these things came into this film. So I think let's start question and answer. Maybe because I can keep going on because the experience is so. Experience was so exciting and really close to heart. I don't want to bore you. So maybe if in the question if something comes up, I'll bore you with the anecdotes.
ದೈವದ ನೋಡಿ ಅಲ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ದೈವ ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ನೋಡಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಮುಗಿದೋಯ್ತು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಮೀರೋರು ಯಾರೂ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ದೈವ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ನೂ ಹೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಷ್ಟರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವಳು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪೂರಕವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ. ಬಟ್ ದೈವ ನಿನ್ನ ಕೊಲೆ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಹೇಳಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಎರಡನೇದು, ಅಂದರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಾವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಚಿಂತನೆಗೆ ಹಚ್ಚುವಂಥದ್ದು ಎರಡು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್. ಮೂರನೇದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿನ್ನ ಮನಸ್ಸೇ ದೈವ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಸಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಕಂಡಿರುತ್ತೋ ಇಲ್ಲೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಆತನ ಮನಸ್ಸೇ ಆ ಥರದ ಭ್ರಮೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಈ ಮೂರನ್ನು ನೀವು ಹೇಗೆ ಇಲಾಬರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ನಾನು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಬಟ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಿಜ್ಞಾಸೆಗಳು ಇದೆ ನನಗೆ. ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತ.
ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದಂಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಇಸ್ ಓಕೆ?
ಅದು ಈಗ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ
ಇಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಸುಲಭ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು. ಬಟ್ so see, I was born and brought up in Mangalore. Till 26-year-old I was here. I studied in Aloysius, roamed around in the same area. So I was quite familiar with Bhuta, Aradhane and the belief system which is associated with it. And I completely respect that and the feelings, emotions attached to it. At the same time, it is a very interesting concept because for me, the way I have seen Bhuta is in the form of oracles. Like if you compare it with Greek mythology, it's like oracles. Like if you, or in our own culture, like echoing valleys. Like if you stand by the valley side and shout something, the valley will respond to you. Scientifically, it is just our own sound reflecting back to us. But our mind always knows what is right and what is wrong. Like deep within, we all have a moral compass, which is continuously guiding us what is right and what is wrong. At the same time, we want an external affirmation. So, if you go to Daiva and pray to Daiva saying that, Daiva, I am confused. Please guide me, what is the right path? The Bhuta will tell you, or Bhuta will tell you what is the right path, or it will clear your doubts and show you your inner consciousness. Because deep within you know what is right and what is wrong. If it is a feud for a property or a feud between brothers, family feuds, you know you're in the right side or the wrong side. It is an external affirmation by the Bhuta or Daiva saying that you know it. Go in the right path. As you rightly said, Bhuta will never ask to kill somebody. It cannot, because it's a protecting deity. It cannot ask somebody to go and kill somebody. At the same time, it will tell you what is right. So this was the understanding of Bhuta Daiva for me, from whatever Bhuta Daiva I had seen over the years. I visited many Bhuta Kolas when I was here. All sort of different kind of Bhutakola happening in the day, Bhutakola happening in the night, all those things. And it was also interesting for me because, like Shakespeare's Macbeth, if you have read the original text, the future is told by the witches, which are the negative forces of the nature, as Shakespeare puts it. Witches are the negative forces, whereas Daiva is not negative; it is a positive thing. Though popularly in Kannada it is called as Bhuta. Bhuta is generally known to be negative. But for us Tuluas, I mean Tulunadu people, Bhuta is not negative. It's a spirit. It's spiritual. So for me, when I was writing, it became very interesting because Bhuta Kaula, or if I take the example of three witches, which comes in Macbeth, they're negative. At the same time, it is anti-church or the anti-established religion, the main predominant religion. So Bhuta is also like that. When if we talk about Dravidian culture and Aryan invasion, the whole tussle between these two cultures, we worship Daiva. The Tulunadu people worship Daiva because this is our true to this land. We worshipped nature. We worshipped sea. Kadalu is a god for us. Kadalappe. We call it as Kadalappe. Kadalu is not just sea. So we call it Kadalamma. Yeah, I mean, translation. No. So we call it as Kadalappe. Appe is Thai. So we have a relationship with nature. We are this people of this land don't worship to Aryan method of this thing of Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. It came later. So for me it was interesting because it was also anti-establishment. The Daivaradhana is also anti-establishment. So some voice coming from that cultural root was very important because that is the nativity of this land. Bhutakola is the nativity of this land. Belief system around Bhuta is like, if we casually speak Bant Samaja, no matter where they are, Dubai, USA, wherever they are, if there is a Bhutakola in their house, they will come. That strong is the emotion. It doesn't matter, how big they are or how rich they are or what is the status. It doesn't matter. They'll come back. That is the beauty of the Bhutakola and the belief system around it. So that's why it became very, very important for me to use Deva and Bhutakola in the film, and through that clearing the moral compass to the protagonist was important. That was the only thing which I could think of when I placed the story in Tulunadu.
ಸೊ ಈಗ ಒಟ್ಟು ಸಂದೇಶನೋ ಅಥವಾ ಏನು ಅದು ಏನಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ನಂಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮರೆತೋಯ್ತು. ಒಂದು ಮಾತಿದೆ, ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ಟೋದು ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಕೆಡೋದು ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಅಂತ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅವಳು ಕೆಡಗಿದ್ದು ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ. ಅದು ಹಿಂಗಾಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಗಲ್ಲ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಜೆಂಡರ್, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ಡಿಸೈರ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್. Of course, she is incidental there. Lady Macbeth is incidental, but it is not about Lady Macbeth because she is lady. She did this. In fact, in original Macbeth, it is a Macbeth who is driving the entire thing. Here, I placed Macbeth in Lady Macbeth and played the entire role reversal of gender. So here, Lady Macbeth in a way leads. How I visualize this Macbeth has two wives. One wife is the Lady Macbeth who speaks and ruins his life. The other Lady Macbeth is Banco, the Bannanje, who doesn't speak and ruins his life. So the one wife is in his house, the other wife is in his professional space. So in a way, this Madhava or the Macbeth has two wives. Wife doesn't mean gender.
Correct.
Like two partners, companions, who are spoiling his life, one by speaking and the other one by not speaking. Had Bannanje spoken in right time, probably Madhava would have listened to his inner calling. Had Sugandhi not prompted him, pushed him, he wouldn't have done what he did. So in a way, my Banco is helpless. Helpless not in terms of, we don't need to sympathize with him because he's helpless. We have a good expression in Tulu, "Hey pedde." He is good for nothing. So, our Macbeth. So basically, these two forces are actually doing what he heard or he felt he heard. Ultimately, we are talking about the story of greed. Greed in terms which Macbeth basically talks about. But the definition of greed is different for me in this one. One thing, one way I deviate from the original Macbeth is, as far as my knowledge, this is the only Macbeth adaptation which doesn't have war at all. Shakespeare's plays are known for their, valor and people going out and doing wars. We don't have war here. But the living itself is war. For fishermen, going out to the sea itself is a daily war. They are waging against the nature. But there is respect, there is dharma in war. So similarly, Mogaviras have a dharma in their war. Every day when they set out to sea, they pray to the sea, Yuddha Bhumi, and then they go wage war with the nature to get the fruit, the sea. So though they fight with the nature, they fight respectfully, they fight with the rules. That's what, Dinesh Anna says, I don't want to use troll words because that is not dharma of this Yuddha. So he abides by the dharma of the Yuddha. He goes, does a dharma Yuddha, gets the deserving benefits, reaps the deserving benefit, comes back. So that is the war. It took me like 2-3 months to wondering, what is war for me in this script. When this came to my mind, I was really overjoyed. So this is the war.
Thank you.
Just add one more interesting anecdote to this. I don't know if a person sitting next to Bananje, helping him view the net. In one of the montage shots, he just comes as a passing shot. Very heftily built guy. His name is Ranjit. He's a Magavira, local Magavira. He's not an actor. He was one of the people who helped us find locations and people, and he arranges the boats, etc. Friendly guy, very friendly guy. So he was a bodybuilder, training muscles and everything. So very nice, sweet guy, Magavira guy. So one day, casually during the pre-production, I asked. He said, "Sir, I am going to Afghanistan." Afghanistan? Why? He says, "Sir, I am going to Afghanistan for army." I said, "Army?" He said, "No, I am with the American army." A Mogavira from Malpe going to Afghanistan, American army. I said, "What is happening here?" He said, No, sir, there's a lot of technicians hired from, there's AC repairing and whatever, changing the wheel of a army vehicle. So there are a lot of contract laborers taken from Malpe, this area, taken to the war field, and they're not in the front. They don't hold guns and go to war. But these American armies have contracts. So these people are picked up from here as contractors. I said, but still you're going to war. It is not your country. It's not your war. And you are not even with Afghan people. You're, with the American military in Afghanistan. If you get killed, you are not even a martyr. No, what is driving you? You have a life here. He has 2 ports here. Could easily go out to the sea and earn your living. Handsome catch. I said, sir, but this is more dangerous than that. In the entire 2 years of his career, again, he was here in vacation. In the entire 2 years of his career in Afghanistan, he said, we saw 2 bombing only. One bomb came and fell in our camp, but then it didn't explode. So we were all joking that it must be a China made. Look at the humor in his life. He's in war zone for no reason. And he says, that is still safe for me compared to going out and sea. And I remember after a year or so, in one of the monsoons, he calls me from some foreign number, in WhatsApp call, he calls me and says, sir, one boat is missing in the sea. He thinks I'm a big shot because I'm a director. He calls me and says, the boat is missing, 26 people are missing in this. It happens every monsoon, right? Boats go missing here and people die. So he calls me desperately saying, sir, 26 people are missing in the sea. Can you contact any government people and please do something? I'm helpless. I'm, after all, a director, nothing else. But I was shocked, sitting there where his life is in danger. He's thinking of 26 people because he knows the pain. So the kind of war we all wage every day, our own brothers, Mogaviras, facing the brutal war every day. They are immune to that. All these things shook me so badly while writing this script. And I grew up in Mangalore. 26 years I was here. I had classmates who were Mogaveras. Then only I realized what would be their mental state every day coming to class when their parents are out there fishing. It is so terrifying. There is a war right in front of us and we ignore it every day. Anyway, sorry, I got carried away.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
The second part of the question was tricky. Now it's difficult. For me, I think Lady Macbeth was interesting. I wouldn't say favorite. It's like asking mother which child is favorite. But I had a lot of fun writing and executing Lady Macbeth's character. It had a lot of things to work with. I really enjoyed working with that character. I also had a great actress. Bindu was really, really nice to work with. It was her first film. At the same time, she brought in so many layers to the character. I was so happy. In fact, I had decided that I'll write as little dialogue as possible for this film. I didn't want any dialogue. You might have observed, like there are at least 3 to 4 sequences where for almost 7-8 minutes you don't have any dialogues. It's either just music or montages. But in the end, towards the climax, I had written 1 or 2 more dialogues. But after the performance, at the editing table, I removed those dialogues and I played, because she was so emotive and the character was building up to the certain kind of emotion that I said, the dialogues will ruin it. So I chopped off the dialogues. So that character was really, really delicious to write and execute. So for me, in fact, I have deviated in the later part, towards the end of the film, I have deviated from Shakespeare. Because my character said, boss, this is how I will behave. Yeah. This is how I will react. I will not listen even if it's Shakespeare. So because that character has its own life. My guru Manipal used to say that Manipal is one of the legendary filmmakers of India. He used to say that film is a privileged place. The 1.5 hour or 2 hour, 3 hour, whatever you spend inside the frame with the character, it's a privileged place where the character's life, it's almost like this glass window. There is a life happening outside, beyond that, and you are allowed only this much space to look into their world. So there the character starts, there the character ends. But you don't know where it was born and where it will die. But this is the privileged place that 1:2.35 is your privileged window to the lives of those characters. So the characters are born there and end by the time you leave the hall. So inside that, whatever happens, but you have to, give birth to those characters somewhere there, so that by the time it reaches here, it has all the characteristics that you desire in those characters. Once you have cast it right, it will take you to the right direction. So casting the character is very important. So many a time, I spend a lot of time writing the character, because once I start writing scenes, then, if I start making changes, then I'm playing God. If I play God, if I write all your characters, then all of you will start behaving like me, which is not interesting. It will not create me a story. So there is nothing called general audience. So when audience gives you 1.5-2 hours of their time, they might just want to waste it. But as an artist have a responsibility for their time. Because they are sitting here, they are investing their time on my work. I mean, you could have just watched 50 reels instead of watching this film. But so you might have come here just to spend 2.5 hours, do nothing and just be happy with the visual. But I, as an artist, have a responsibility. I have to entertain. I have to do whatever it takes to engage you. Entertainment is different, but I at least have to try to engage you. Whatever you take from that is up to audience. It's like Parmam Side said. Each of us have their katora. If you bring a big katora, you'll take more. If you bring a small, you'll take less. That's all. But creating a point is my responsibility. So whatever the audience take, it's up to them. They might take more, they might take less, but I have to keep a point there. I can't say that, you're banned from my artwork. I can't.
Why was Ringyari?
You have Azan as a call. Ringtone. You have Azan as ringtone, is it?
Usually people will have.
Okay.
So my question to you is that even my cultural background, it evokes in me some spiritual feelings for us in our context. But here I saw to hear the same thing in a very different context. I think there was some murder scene going on. I mean, they're plotting the thing, right? Where that woman was, she was like, we should kill the
Duncan.
Madhava and his wife. When they were plotting the thing, right?
At that time, Azan was there. At that time, Yakshagana was there because I'm constantly intercutting with the Yakshagana performance. Krishna Arjuna is happening.
Kind of found.
No. There, Azan was there because there is a particular sound design. I'll tell you, we have consciously used Azan. We have also consciously used church bells. We have also consciously used Ram Mandir prayers. Because the whole idea of this film, I'll tell you the sound design part. It's a very interesting thing you pointed out. It was a very conscious decision because when I grew up in Mangalore, we were used to hearing church bells. I studied in Aloysius College, so I'm used to church bells all through my life. Every time wherever I am, whenever I hear a church bell, I'm reminded of Aloysius College. And Aloysius College, there is a mosque just outside our college. So we are used to Azan sounds and Ram Mandir temple around. So when I grew up in that kind of atmosphere where everything was there, right next to each other, and everything was okay. But today's Mangalore is unfortunately not that. So that was one of the conscious things which I wanted to bring into this because the whole story talks about how greed ruins the community, like Madhava's greed, the greed on the physicality and etc. ruins the entire community. And it also brings me to why did I choose to place it in Mogavera community? Because Mogavera community doesn't have a boundary for their house. There's one house here, there is a lot of sand, and there's one more house there. They don't believe in the concept of compound walls. Some of the modern houses have one compound walls, but traditionally, because for their tradition, they have to have, communities working together, living together. A boat takes almost 20-22 people to fish. So this idea of communities slowly started collapsing. We see every day in Mangalore, on pub attack, a lot of communal tension and all those things. So I wanted to bring in that element of that it is possible to hear everything at the same time the life will keep going. So consciously I've used all three sounds. Hindu, Muslim, Christian is a very stereotype, but I've used Hindu, Muslim, Christian sounds throughout. You will hear church sound. I right now remember exactly one place where Dineshana tells his son that you are not going to get anything from my property. So it is correctly punctuated with church bells. You can hear gong there, like dum, dum. Gongs are usually used when there's some decision made, like when the new pope is elected. The gongs are used. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah? You would know the relevance of gongs. So we use certain kind of tones, sounds in a particular fashion, so that subconsciously, since you observed it. Many people did observe when the film was released. Many people observed. You understand, kind of, right? Okay, so. Alle on the church bell ittu. Adyake church bell ittu. Like you asked, there was Azan. Why Azan? So some people asked, why Ram temple? It was very interesting also because when we were shooting, there was a Ram temple just next door. There would be a mosque somewhere close by, and we were shooting sing song. So we had to stop shooting when there's a Ram bhajana happening or some Azan playing. Or some church. Padukere, a lot of things. So, we were shooting sing. So we had to stop everything. But then, this decision of using those sounds was done much earlier. But I was, of course, I was pissed off because, shooting was getting stopped and we were running out of budget. But at the same time, I said, this is what the film is all about. This is how the life of Mangalore is. It's just now that, we are not comfortable with each other, but this is how the life was in Mangalore. Anyway, sorry. But just to demonstrate that it is all conscious decision. Did anybody hear dogs in the film?
Yeah, it was there.
It was there, right? Yeah. So, just so. You remember this? I was just joking. No, I'm happy that you observed because like when you observe Azan, I was like, somebody caught it. When you said dog, somebody caught it. It feels good because you have put in so much effort to it. So we consciously use the dog sound to that character, Avinash character, the advocate. The way I visualized his character was that he's like a street dog. he will, don't tell this to Avinash. She knows Rakesh. I mean, his character's name is Rakesh. Of course, he knows it. That was the briefing I gave Avinash. Like he said, he came and asked me, sir, what is my character? You know, what is my character? As in, what do I do to this character to give it flesh and blood? I said, you are a street dog. I said, oh, what do you mean by street dog? I said, it will go anywhere. Wherever there is opportunity, it will eat. So that's how he started building his character. Avinash is the actor. Rakesh's character, who is a lawyer. He's not even a lawyer actually. He's a half-baked whatever. Opportunist. So we used dog sounds. You know, if you get a chance to watch again, I mean it's in YouTube, you can observe the dog sound either comes a little before the character enters or just before after the character ends. Or if he's talking too much, then the dog sound is also increasing. And then he gets killed towards the 3/4 into the film. And then in that situation, I have used the dog sound when, you know, and somebody's pelting stones on the dog. You know, the Arthanada, as we call it in Kannada, a desperate dog shouting, like when somebody's beating up the dog. Of course, we didn't do beating up, we just recorded it somewhere. Or probably it's a library sound. But we use that sound because the character is dying there. And after that, wherever there was incidental dog sound, we removed it in sound post-production. So after the character dies, we consciously removed all the dog sounds from the soundtrack because we were shooting in Paddayi, there are dogs. So either we would chase the dogs. Fortunately, the film was not much longer.
ಡೆತ್ ಸಹ ಹಾಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಅವನದು ಡೆತ್ ಸಮೇತ ಹಾಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಸ್ಟೈಲ್
correct
ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಆ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರಿಗೆ ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್.
So the character, each character is designed like that. So for Rakesh's character, we designed the sound, like we designed the dog sounds, and we recorded different dog sounds, and you know, different. Some of them we didn't get, so we got it from sound library. You get those sound libraries, and I'll give last one example for the sound. There's a owl sound. Now nobody will laugh. So
ಅಶುಭ ಸಂಕೇತ.
Ashubha Sanketa.
Yes.
So that is mentioned in Shakespeare also. Shakespeare is.
Even she mentions it in the film, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah, Gube. So there is an owl, which is there in the Shakespeare's play also. But when we wanted to use owl sound, of course it's used from sound library. We didn't record this owl. But then which owl to use? There are so many species, so many varieties of owl. So in the sound stage we were confused, like, okay, what is the owl we are going to use? Because I am sure there will be one person sitting in the audience who is a bird watcher and they'll say, so you are also addressing that person. So, you know, then we started, I'm not a bird watcher, so I started calling up all my friends, some environmentalists, etc. Unfortunately, you know, Dr. Krishna Mohan Prabhu from Mudubidri, fantastic, he was a doctor, surgeon, he's no more unfortunately, died quite young actually. Bird watcher, great environmentalist. I called him. He had seen me from my childhood, so I said, Krishankal, you know, ಒಂದು ಗೂಬೆ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ಸೌಂಡ್, which area? So Malpe, this area. He said there are like 4 owls in that area. So which time of the year? Somewhere just before monsoon. Okay, these are the 2 owls which comes to that area in those time. I heard both the sounds. And one was almost like dog barking, not exciting enough. Fortunately, the other one was ominous enough. It was sounding ominous. So we used that. I forgot the name, but I've written it in the book. We published a book on this. It took me almost 1.5 hours, this entire exercise, calling up. He mentioned 2-3 names, going to the. All these sounds are available on YouTube, I mean, internet sound archives now. So just heard those 2-3 sounds, downloaded sound, and we used it. So sound for audience, you know, it's just one sound of owl. But for the filmmaker, for the sound designer, it is 1.5 hours of effort. And if 1 or 2 people in the audience identifies it, you know, I feel it's a thrill. Because we have put the effort.
ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಸಹ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿ.
2 things actually. One, he observed how the simple chain keeps changing. From simple thread to gold chain. We were shooting such a low budget film that chain belongs to my assistant director. So, but it is, nice. But it feels so good because he identified it. Because, you know, he saw those gold chain, ಎರಡೆಳೆ ಚಿನ್ನದ ಸರ. Took from Rakshit Karant Kulai,
T-shirt also. T-shirt, pant.
T-shirt, pant, yeah. So those two, so because how do you show the riches and how do you change the place? And the other thing also he added is how Madhava's character, the protagonist's character, is placed in this frame. I'll talk one or two things about the aesthetics of placement of character, or blocking of the characters. If you observe, Madhava's character is nobody. Like he's always shot from the eye level in the beginning. Once he starts elevating his position, like when he starts getting artificially the riches of dimension, the camera slowly starts going down and starts looking at him like this, like Anna, my lord, kind of a feeling. The camera slowly starts going down, and finally it says, "You bloody cheat." It ends like this, like you are, the what's the expression? Dirt of the earth.
Nelakachitadu.
Nelakachitadu. Yeah, he's like there. So the camera angle also is a part of the aesthetics. Yeah. So biting the dust. Yeah. So where he points out is he sits on the
Top of the boat put.
Yeah, at the beginning of the boat, like he sits in a throne. So because he is attained there, I of course cannot show him sitting in the real throne because it doesn't come in the world of this film. So he sits there. There's one more very evident blocking suggestion in the film, that if you see Manjesha's character, Dineshana's son, he is never shot right like this. He's always looking away from camera, and he's continuously, he said, "Sir, nan mukane torsta illa, like you don't show my face." So I said, "Because you have not rehearsed enough," casually. But I would always ask him to look away from the camera, and most of the time he's being shot somewhere close to the sea. I've always asked him to look beyond the sea, because that is his ultimate goal, that he wants to jump the sea and go to Dubai. Because Dubai is a dreamland for us. Dreamland for Tulu Nadu people. Like Dubai port, I have to go to Dubai. This is nothing. That is the promised land. So, always Manjesha is looking towards the sea. So he's always, if you revisit the film, you will observe, in all the scenes he's looking away from camera, he's looking away from these people. So these are the aesthetics of composition. How do you compose characters? Like if there are 4 people standing and talking, where do you place those characters, and what is the business you give to the characters? Because character has to do something. It cannot stand, 4 people cannot just stand and talk. If they stand and talk, then it will look like a stage performance where 4 people will come on stage, face the mic and speak. So in the camera is constantly moving. So where do you place the camera, and how do you block the artist becomes the part of your visual aesthetics.